All right, I'm here with Machiel, um, author of Dream Guidance. I had the pleasure of reading his book. I devoured it in about a week. It's not too long. It's just right about the right length. He's also the author of the Jung platform, or Jung. And why did you become interested in dream incubation, and why do you continue doing it throughout your life?
Yes. Well, thank you. First of all, great to be here with you, John Paul.
Yeah.
I got really intrigued and helped by dreams in my early 20s. I was stuck in life. I hadn't dealt well with the loss of my father, who died when I was 10. So I had unresolved grief, loss of purpose, my future. I had no clue where to go. Overly indulged in smoking marijuana and not going to college.
Yeah, yeah.
That kind of a life, and which initially looked a little fun and then turned pretty dark. And by some fortunate chance, I stumbled upon the works of Carl Jung, who gave me some clues on how to understand dreams. And what I started to notice is that our own psyche tries to realize itself. So we come into the world with certain qualities and talents and woundings, and we live this. And the dreams produce in a kind of a symbolic, metaphorical way where we are in life and which direction it is moving towards. And so, by connecting with the images of the dream, I started getting in touch with the deeper layers of myself and was carried into the right direction. So it
That's
helped.
fascinating.
Yeah, it helped me out of that horrible situation and back to a life of purpose and meaning and color. And of course, life is up and down, but it feels meaningful and purposeful. So
That's
that's where
beautiful.
it's
That's beautiful. Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah, so a little bit of my background. I have a PhD in physiology and pharmacology. I'm not much of a neuro person, so this is all kind of new to me. But as far as accessing your subconscious, what do you think exactly is going on in the dream state? Is it kind of you're accessing parts of your brain that you normally couldn't, or it's just like opening pathways to places that otherwise wouldn't exist? What do you think is going on that allows you to kind of divinate these things that when you're waking you otherwise wouldn't be able to?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think that our psyche is layered. So we have an ego with its consciousness, the habitual activities it does, and around it is the personal unconscious, a storehouse with both repressed emotions, some learned things from the past. And beneath that is what Jung would call the collective unconscious, or other people would call the field or the source, where we're connected so to something, to the universe itself. And this universe is expressing itself in all kinds of forms: a rose, a tree, a cow, a human. And
Interesting.
so this creative expression that's us also flows through us in more imaginal way in the dream. The dream is
Okay.
really a world where we're in, and somewhat a manifestation of our thoughts and feelings, but also the direction we move into. And so
Okay.
we have figures and characters show up there that have embody aspects of ourselves.
I
And so
see.
we sink into these deeper layers during sleep and then experience parts of our brain or psyche or soul, whatever you want to call it, during the night.
Oh, that's fascinating. Yeah, yeah. Do you feel because I've done certain psychotropics and things like that. DMT is one that I've done. Maybe I shouldn't admit this on a podcast, but no, I think out of necessity I will. But no, it was like a waking dream state.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I was seeing things that were, I couldn't explain. Like the mountain was breathing,
Mm-hmm.
um, the clouds were forming into pictures of my grandfather and things like that. So it was almost like it opened up a certain part of the brain. Do you
Yeah.
feel like it's kind of a similar thing where when you're in a dream state, it's kind of like this amalgam of thoughts and emotions, and they're all kind of meshing into one, and that's when you can really kind of use all your senses at once to kind of come up with new and interesting thoughts and things and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's a great question and analogy. I think that when we use psychedelics, whether it's mushrooms, ayahuasca, DMT, that we either whatever way we want to imagine it, either the psyche comes up or we descend further into the psyche, and so we start getting a different experience of reality clearly, and the reality also seems to be meaningful in a psychedelic journey. It's as if we are visiting the wise therapist, old woman of the world, who just gives us what we need in a very particular way. It's just the experience we need,
Hmm.
and
It's
uh, and,
interesting.
and dreams have the same thing. It's as if the wise woman of the world gives us an experience that is just the perfect experience for us at that moment. So dreams are very personalized experiences that are full of purpose and meaning, but we need to proactively engage with it to optimize our relationship with it. Just
Hmm.
like a lot of people after a DMT experience need to do some integration work, because otherwise it's just like a dream, it evaporates.
That's interesting. Yeah, yeah. So when I was reading your book, you talked about the daimon. I think I'm pronouncing that right. But I when I was I'm a pretty square person. I'm not much of a circle. I'm trying to become more of a circle, like spirituality and that kind of stuff. So forgive me for trying to like uh, simplify the metaphysical or whatever. But
Yeah, yeah, please do,
I
please.
almost feel like with the daimon, it's it's almost like the species' will to live and to reproduce and to move forward. And I feel like it's innate in all of us, right? Because
Hmm.
that's why we exist as a species. And I think with dreams, and the daimon, I almost feel like you're accessing something very, very primeval, very primal. It's basically your core essence, right? And you
Right.
talked about how with dreams, um, and the daimon, it like it pushes you forward, right? And sometimes it's almost like a mind worm. It gets in you, and it's like, okay, like this is what it is, right? And I feel like I'm kind of doing this with this podcast. I feel like the daimon's got me a little bit,
Hmm.
but I almost feel like it's hacking into that part of your subconscious that is really your your raison d'etre, your reason for doing what you do, right?
Yes.
And your motivations for existing, and and I feel like when people do drugs and that kind of stuff, not like psychedelics, but like antidepressants and that kind of stuff, a lot of times it messes with that, right? And sometimes it pushes it in a good way, sometimes it pushes it in a bad way, causes people to hurt themselves or pull out of it, and so you're messing with that very core, that core code of wanting to live, reproduce, gather resources, all that stuff. And I feel like in the dream, you can actually access that and almost like inception yourself, right? For
Hmm.
lack of a better phrase, you can kind of like push yourself more towards your dreams, no pun intended, of what you want to accomplish in life. And I feel like
Yeah.
that's what's going on. And I know in your book you mentioned a few people who, through dreams, they accomplish their dreams or whatever, right? Like
Hmm.
the song "Yesterday" and that kind of stuff. And so, um, Besides those famous examples, which I think a lot of people already know, in your practice, when you've been helping people, what was some of the one of the biggest, most profound experiences that you've had with someone where they were able to access that daimon, access that network, and really, change their lives?
Uh, there's many. I like your whole summary. First of all,
Yeah, it's definitely a theory, but like, yeah, I really feel like you're definitely onto something, and I feel it can be proven scientifically. I mean, it'd take a while. It's hard to mess with dreams, but I feel the daimon is probably the core code. I feel it's what it's why we exist, like as
right?
in like why we get out of bed in the morning,
Yes,
and
and
if you
and
can
in
hack
this,
that,
yeah, and this diamond has qualities and desires and wishes,
yeah,
and in an imaginal way, let's imagine that we are a boarding house. And in this boarding house, we live in the living room, the bedroom, the kitchen, and that's our space. But it's a large house, and somewhere in this house lives our daimon, a kind of the imaginal companion,
yeah,
and the daimon. And everyone has a different daimon, and maybe multiple daimons. And so one daimon wants to draw, the other one wants to paint, another one likes to cook. And when we sleep, we enter into the world where we can see these boarding house figures and what their desires are. At
mm,
once you see a figure who's cooking, and so if you have several dreams on a row with people cooking in it, it starts begging the question: might there something wanting to live through you that likes to cook? And or painting or whatever these figures are doing, and then they might show up as your uncle or your
yeah.
neighbor or the high school person. And initially people say, "Gosh, that's weird. Why would I dream about my uncle or about high school Johnny from high school?" And the thing they can do is ask yourself, "What do you associate to this figure?" And then it is, Johnny was really good at speaking up. Oh, now speaking up dresses up as Johnny because that's closest to what you
Uh,
know. And speaking up presents itself. And then you can ask yourself, how do I relate to speaking up? And you go like, well, I'm maybe too good at it, or I'm not good enough at it. Usually it's one or the other. And I'm not good enough at it. Oh, let me relate to this inner Johnny. And it's not a high school figure, but it is my inner ability to speak up shows up. And the energy is already there. And so then I can start relating to the energy and feeling it a little bit. And at once I start noticing, hey, I become better at speaking up when I bring Johnny into my life. And that is how dreams can help us.
yeah, that's interesting. So it's like these figures that show up in their dream in your dreams, they're kind of an avatar of something in your personality. It's almost like
Yeah.
with Winnie the Pooh, Eeyore is like depression, and
Mhm.
the rabbit is ADHD or whatever. And so when you dream, like you have your own Winnie the Pooh cast in your brain, and they can kind of guide you. Yeah, I definitely think that's related to the daimon or evolution. It's like we need a driving force. We need different ways to survive in this world, and they're all kind of locked up in your brain. And if you can access them, you could definitely have an edge in life and business and whatever else. So
More than an edge, because it is really also your talent. And not everyone's diamond is as strong. Some, like Michael Jordan, has clearly a stronger diamond
yeah.
in basketball than me,
Yeah.
and many others. But what also is let's even if I have a little Michael Jordan walking around in me, a little diamond, if I just give it space to play, and maybe it's just recreational. When I'm in touch with the daimon, I feel happy. I'm in the flow. I give form to something, and then I don't need to be as good as Michael to just enjoy life. And and everyone has several of them, and some can become vocational work talents. Others are more in the relational sphere. When we're in touch with them, we feel a meaning, we have a sense of purpose, we feel carried by life, even if the obstacles are there. That's part of the journey. And so, yeah, we have the sense that we are ourselves. And,
Mm,
and, and, and nothing beats having the sense, oh, I am me and I'm giving expression to myself.
yeah. Yeah, you're like opening up your hidden talents, right? And they're kind of locked up in there, and maybe you've developed them and forgotten them, or something along those lines.
Exactly. And when you then look at your dreams and take this kind of metaphor of, hey, they are walking around there inside of me. Let me see what they do. And now at once, the burglar that tries to climb into your house might be an aspect of yourself that tries to connect. And instead of, oh, I don't want that, I'm afraid, which is a natural impulse, or and get rid of it, it's like, who wants to, who and what in me wants to connect?
Hmm.
And
Yeah, that's funny.
yeah,
I had that exact experience. So I learned Japanese. I lived there for a little while, but while I was there, about 3 months in, this Cheshire Cat type character would come out and start speaking Japanese to me in my dreams. I don't know why it was the Cheshire Cat, but it was and it was much better than me at Japanese. It somehow it had like it could access my memory better than I could, and it would be like talking to me, and I'd be like, "Wow, I'm really good at Japanese," but then I like wake up and it'd be like, "Oh no, it's just the cat." That I couldn't recreate it, but yeah, somehow finding a way to harness that
yes,
um,
yes,
is definitely you could get I mean, like I said, it's an edge is an understatement, right? You can kind of um, unlock your true potential that's kind of hidden away in there.
yeah. You unlock your true potential, and that is it. And when you do that, the effect is that you will feel at ease, at peace, and happy. And then at once all these things that people tell you, it's not about how much you earn, and it's about what you do, and etc. is true once you let these boarding house figures flow through you. Sure, you want to earn money, etc., but that is pale in comparison to the sense of feeling that you live a life of purpose.
Sense of fulfillment
Yeah, yeah,
and enlightenment. There's just like my podcast is titled, so perfect.
yeah,
Um, I wanted to ask you. So, in my experience, I hadn't dreamed for years. At least I hadn't noticed I've been dreaming. I know you always dream, but I didn't remember them. But the time I started dreaming again was when I started taking magnesium. Pretty heavy, like not a huge dose, but enough, right? It was actually something that I developed. But anyway, in your experience, has there been something that you've given to people or that people take that enhance the dream experience? I mean, magnesium helps with REM sleep and stuff, so there's that. But I mean, whether it's some kind of incense or
well, the main
sacred drugs.
yeah, the main secret to dream recall is having interest.
Interest.
Yeah, you're interested in your dreams. Put a pen and paper next to your bed. Talk to the dreams. For people that listen to this and think, "Gosh, I never dream or almost never dream."
Yeah.
This will prime you a little bit, and then you say, "Dream. I've been listening to John Paul and Machiel. It was a bit weird, but I'm curious.
Yeah.
Let's bring me a dream that will be helpful for me, please." And then you say, "A dream, please bring this," and then the next morning, if you wake up, write it down immediately, because dreams evaporate
Yeah.
rapidly. Your short-term memory kicks back online, so that's why you forget a lot of dreams. But that is by far the main ingredient that outperforms anything else. The rest are kind of there are some things that help. So if you like maybe a better REM sleep, if you drink too much alcohol, that is just not helpful for dream recall. No moral judgment, but just
Yeah.
it's your brain there. And
Yeah, I've heard that. Like alcohol really messes with REM sleep, and if
yeah,
you're like a super alcoholic, the brain starts finding a way to catch up during the day, and so it like forces you to snap into REM sleep, and that's why you're like hallucinating and stuff because the brain eventually forces it, and
yeah,
unfortunately, it's when you're awake, and so you seem like you're in some kind of a dream state walking around, but. Another question. I've noticed like if it's a stressful time in my life,
yeah,
while I'm sleeping, it goes away, right? And when I wake up, like you said, the short term memory changes and your brain waves shift and you kind of snap back into reality. And the anxiety will come flushing back, like if I've got something, business or family or whatever.
yeah, yeah.
Um, in your experience, I definitely should have sent these questions to you ahead of time. I apologize for that. But in your experience, like how do you tap into like keeping that anxiety at bay, whether with a dream state or figuring it out, like getting rid of it? Like what's a way to kind of stay in that kind of dream state, or if not stay in that dream state, like that same kind of feeling where you're just kind of relaxed, you're calm, you're in kind of a
Yeah,
space where it doesn't mess with you,
I
or is
think
that
it's
possible?
I think it's a great question because anxiety is one of the most widespread experiences that we
Yeah.
currently have already for years, decades, and it's not so easy to be just zen the whole day,
Yeah.
and
No.
and, and so when anxiety arrives, it helps to personify it. So as if it is one of these boarding house figures. And so the sense of anxiety is present, and let's say I can tap in some slight sliver of anxiety. I can feel that, and then I just wonder what kind of figure would this be, and then and then my mind generates something, and now I can feel a bit of a skinny figure that's walking a little bit, walking up and down, and I'm gonna give it a name, and I think, oh, this is skinny, the skinny one, and so now I know the skinny one is present, and then I can say skinny one, but what is it? And maybe I write it down. A skinny one said, you're gonna fail, and you should study. And why didn't you do this?
Right.
And then I write it down, and I can see what it says, and then I can find ways to deal with it. I can look at it. Is it what is real in this, and what is anxiety? I can see you're really afraid. Tell me what you really feel, and then it starts. Oh, I'm afraid that I drown, or that I'm not good enough. Oh, okay. Well, then I'm gonna try to take care of you, of this sense of you don't feel good enough, and maybe I can tell it you're good enough, or whether you succeed or not. I'm here, and I can find different ways of engaging anxiety, and that is one of the ways. It's not a magic bullet that goes away, but this method prevents the anxiety to hijack us. We identify with it. We think, oh my gosh, I'm not good enough. I feel I should start harder. Why didn't I say something? I'm just always doing this. This is some weakness in me. and then I am out of control.
Mm.
So
So so you're saying basically like turn it into an avatar that you
yeah,
can actually combat, and maybe it'll show up in your dreams, right? And you could be like, okay, let's do this, let's clear it out. Just make it a friendly avatar, make it like a piglet or something, so it doesn't show up as some
yeah, or
kind of a demon or something.
even if it shows up as a demon, then it's what do you, then still engage. What do you want? What do you want from me? What are you afraid of? What do you really feel? Because the anxiety masks some other feeling, and then it starts usually becoming anxious, and in a lot of people it becomes really critical.
Yeah.
But it is actually masking a feeling that we don't relate to, and once we relate to it, it can change. This is where all these fairy tales come with Beauty and the Beast. Beauty is afraid for the beast, but actually it's a talent. The little despised frog in the fairy tale that knows where the golden ball is. Actually, it knows where something of supreme value is, but our habitual situation discounts it, and then we become afraid, and then we disconnect from it. So it's better to relate to it. Who
Okay.
are you? What do you do here? But yeah, as an avatar.
Face it head on, basically. Give it a form and a
Yeah,
purpose and a will, kind of basically turn it into a scarecrow or whatever, right? So you can actually
beautiful. Yes.
fight it or whatever.
I would more say engage it.
Engage, not necessarily fight it.
Yeah, because
Acknowledge it's there for a reason, probably, right?
yeah, learn from it, and the big chance is that if you take care of it, like, oh, it feels really not good enough, or it feels it doesn't have the skill set. All right, that sounds scary. Come here. Let us do this together. I know you don't feel that way, but I'm gonna acknowledge that, and I know I don't feel this way all the time, but I'm not gonna loop in
Right, right.
because then
Spiral out of control or whatever.
that is for sure not going to be helpful. And anxiety, if it doesn't go away with a couple of little I don't think about it, it's better to engage. There's an old African story. I was born in South Africa, and shall I tell it briefly?
Yes, please. Yeah.
So
I'd love to hear it.
in the African traditions, the older generation teaches the younger generation about fear. And what they say is they tell the story of how the lions hunt. So lions hunt in packs, and in every pack there's always one lion whose roar is far more mighty than its ability to run and chase. So the old lion goes and sits at this end of the field, and the young lion sits at the other end of the field. And then they just wait. They're patient until a gazelle or an antelope comes by. And then when the antelope is in the middle, the old lion roars. So the antelope gets scared and runs away, just as our tendency is run away from fear.
Hmm.
But it runs towards the young lions who are sitting here in their field,
Uh,
waiting for the dinner to arrive.
like wolves. Yeah, guiding. Interesting. Yeah.
So they bite and take the antelope. So says the older generation to the younger generation. Run towards the fear. Run towards what you're really scared for. Because you're probably going to outrun this here. But you're not going to outrun. If you run away, you run towards certain death.
Straight into trouble.
Straight into trouble. But you run towards it. And that's with this too. You are scared. You see this. You imagine the scarecrow, and you say, "What is going on?" And then it starts rattling off all kinds of thoughts that probably look very familiar to you.
Yeah.
The thoughts that usually you identify with. So you disidentify from your thoughts, and then you can really observe them better. and then you
Mm.
can find, hey, what am I really thinking here, and what is this true, and am I really a screw up for life if this doesn't go through?
Yeah.
No, I'm not. Oh, Scarecrow, you're actually really scared. Way more scared than you need to be. But come here. We'll
Yeah.
do this together. And then things can change.
That's cool. Yeah, I like that a lot. So basically, yeah, because if you run, you could run from your dreams. You could run into some other pitfall that's waiting for you. Just never accomplish what you set out to do. Um, yeah. So I've one more question. So in your book, you talked a lot about all these different cultures and societies that had dream incubation, and then it basically went away, right?
Yeah.
Um, I have my theories on that, but why do you think it's not as common as it should be? Because I feel like you used a lot of examples of people who have major success through dreams, right?
Hmm.
But it's really not a part of culture. You don't really hear about it as much, unfortunately. And so, why do you think it went away? And how can we fix that? Basically,
Yeah, I love to hear your take on it, but more what I can see is on a certain moment in our Western history, we became really good in an external reality to measure it, to work with it, and we've become so unbelievably good at it
yeah,
that we created all cars and rockets and TVs, and now we have internet, and that has so magic that we kind of turned that, or it became almost godlike what we did,
yeah,
driving cars.
yeah,
And so at once our, in general, a sense for a sacredness in the universe, maybe a certain divine presence, started to become significantly less. The internal world was not measurable, and so with the new system, the internal world was not highly valued because yeah, those are feelings and subjective, and
yeah. Harder to
so
prove.
harder to prove,
Yeah,
and so that seems to have contributed to the loss of a certain introspection to these powers within that appear to be have similarities with the powers outside, and in ancient cultures and tribal traditions, these same motives still are there. Speaking now to ourselves, but we maybe over lost ourselves in the outside world, and
yeah.
through podcasts like these and people like us who think, gosh,
Where did it go? Yeah,
where do
yeah,
you go? Yeah.
yeah. No, yeah, I agree. That's pretty similar to my theory. That I think what happened is in a lot of these cultures and religions and things like that, there is some things that were I don't want to say not good, but basically I think we threw out the baby with the bathwater is what happened.
Hmm.
To use a coin of phrase, but so for example, like the Mayans or the Aztecs, they would do human sacrifice and stuff like that, and so we're like, well, that's clearly not good, and so it must all not be good. Or
Right. Yeah.
and then kind of going along with your point, I think a lot of it was people like me who got who destroyed it, right? Like scientists who are like, no, this isn't provable. This is all nonsense. Um, let's forget about it and just the wheels of industry must burn, basically. And I think we um, maybe we went too fast with technology, and it's brought a lot of blessings and really improved a lot of people's lives. But I think this is where a lot of anxiety and depression and that kind of stuff does come from, is we've really separated ourselves from what we are, right? We're spiritual beings. We uh we long for community. We long for connection with our inner selves, with nature. And to be frank, whether a lot of these things are true or not true, provable, whatever, it doesn't matter. It's who we are. It's kind of like I relate it to, not to be vulgar, to having sex, non-reproductive sex, right? I think it's a similar thing where it's like, yeah, theoretically, there's no reason to do it besides, like, it's all kind of metaphysical, and obviously it reduces tension and things like that, and you bond with the person, but it doesn't like advance the species or anything like that. And so as humans, we're kind of this quirky species where we need spirituality. We need, to dance around the campfire. We need
Hmm.
um, to be in touch with our dreams, and we need these things. And like you were saying, kind of this Western thought, this Western philosophy that if it's not provable, or if it doesn't immediately stand up to the scientific method, it's a bunch of bunk, right?
Yeah.
And so I do believe that a lot of this stuff can and is making a resurgence, like New Age religion and that kind of stuff, especially as some of the other religions start to falter a bit. I do feel that people like you can really help people, and that we can tap into, that inner self. And like I said, I feel like it's a way to unlock things inside of you, like with dream incubation, that otherwise you can't. And it's something you can't do with like drugs or science. And I kind of like how you pushed back on me, where it's like, let's just use drugs to to unlock dreams and that kind of stuff. But um yeah, I think that we can we can really kind of get in touch with, who we are as a person, and kind of open up new parts of our brain that I think we've shut off, whether it's through sitting at computers all day or whatever else. And yeah, that's kind of my theory as to what's going on, and why there's just like rampant mental illness and that kind of stuff,
Hmm.
because it's like we're not we're not doing what we are, right? Like for the last million years, million and a half, however long humans have been around, that's been a core part of our essence. And to just throw it away like that, like it's nothing, is a huge mistake. But
I agree. I love the way you phrase it. And if we go back to this metaphor of the boarding house, we've lost connection to these
yeah,
characters that walk inside of us.
yeah,
And when we do that, they don't disappear. So they get upset and they get angry and they start knocking on the door. And those
interesting.
are,
They
yeah,
come
and
out in strange ways.
those are the pathologies that find themselves into the consulting room or to the doctor. And then sometimes we give medication so that you don't hear those figures.
Yeah,
And that's
block them
actually,
out.
yeah, block them out. And so, oh, I feel better. But you have a boarding house character that wants to paint, and you're not listening to it, and you just numbed, you anesthetized it, and or anesthetized the wall more because you can't really anesthetize the figure,
Yeah,
and now, yeah, you're just you're not in touch with yourself. So a lot of disorders are actually our own psyche trying to connect with us, and um, and there's a different view on what really
that's
goes.
really cool. No, that's a really cool take. And I think there's definitely truth to it. Like you're locking up an essential part of you. Like I don't, I'm not a neuroscientist, maybe a little bit, but yeah, like prescribing people, kids with ADHD, all these drugs and things. I'm sure, like for some people, maybe they may be a little beneficial, but um, yeah, it's like you're trying to cage something that
Yeah,
there's a better outlet for it than just, locking the door and shutting the key, and it's always trying to get out, right? It's like, what are you doing to me? And you're no longer a complete person, right? When
Right.
you do those things, and so
Yes. Yeah.
I like that. That's the first time I've heard that analogy before, but you've convinced me. I think that's probably what's going on, right? There's definitely parts of your brain that are firing, and to kind of shut off that part of your brain rather than dealing with it, whether through dreams or drugs or what or whatever else,
Yeah.
psychotropics, not yeah.
And dreams can give an insight. So if someone says, "Oh, my kid has ADHD," now let's see what the kid dreams, and what does and this character will do something. So you will start seeing what is there something really serious, or does this figure loves to run outside in nature and doesn't have a chance because it's living in a city or sitting the whole day
Yeah,
at a pool.
modern society, yeah.
Yeah, and so this kid has a different, unique self than sitting the whole day straight in a class. That doesn't make that person a pathological person.
Yeah.
But, maybe maybe we'll just figure out how this person can run in nature after school, and let's then see if it still has ADHD.
Fix it that way. Yeah, yeah, that's interesting. But yeah, it's funny. I have a couple kids, and one's 3 and one's 1, but
Hmm.
it's very natural that they want to go outside no matter what. Like like even if it's
Right?
freezing cold, I'm in Utah, but they want to run and play and climb all over everything, and I do think we do kind of repress that, and yeah, that's just thinking that drugs and things are the answer to something that it seems like the children are telling us. And then, yeah, like going through their dreams and pulling it out. It's really interesting because I know children have very vivid dreams, and I think it can provide a lot of valuable insights into what's truly going on because maybe they can't express it quite as well verbally, but
Yeah.
if you can ask them to, tell you their dreams, you could probably get into really subconscious, either I don't know if damage is the right word, but like a diagnosis of what's going
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I noticed in the book you use the word diagnosis a lot, and I really like that. So rather than like a prescription with dreams, it's more of like you're doing a diagnostic test. You're figuring out what's wrong, not necessarily um, immediately going to a quick fix. You're kind of rooting out the problem itself. So
Yeah,
yeah,
you
it's
get a
interesting.
kind of a psychological X-ray.
Yeah,
You you
yeah,
you, you see the boarding house, and you get a specific room, and in the specific world the person is in, and that is the psychological territory. Or they're at a hospital, or they're in a place of healing, or at a university place of learning. They're in Thailand, and they've never been there. Oh, they're in foreign territory. Oh, they're
mm,
far away. And so what are they doing there? Who are they meeting? And then and what is happening as a storyline? Are they being chased, or they're being deceived, or they're whatever experience they have? And you can look at, oh, okay, why would they have this experience? What might this indicate if this is what's going on inside of them? Uh,
yeah,
and then you can relate to those experiences.
yeah. Do a deep analysis, and it's interesting how all this stuff has showed up in like every culture, right? Like the Egyptians, the New World, Old World, everywhere, and it's when stuff like that starts happening, you really start to realize that there's probably something to this. There's something definitely going on here. When every society does dream incubation and they found it heals people and that kind of stuff, it's fascinating stuff that spans civilizations completely disconnected from each other for thousands of years
Yeah.
is really really interesting to see that how we're all connected in one way or another, and we find things that benefit us. So I think that's about time for us. you have anything else you'd like to add? Did I miss any major things
Well, no, but
that
I
you
want
wanted to discuss?
encourage people to go and dream tonight. And in the book Dream Guidance, I also really write about how you can ask your dream a question before you go to sleep. So they can talk to, they can say which boarding house character wants some attention, and then see what happens.
Yeah,
Who shows up, and what is this person doing, and what might it want to do? Live, how might it might to live out through you,
yeah.
or ask, what's one thing I can do to love myself more deeply? Then your dream will give you a scenario of something to do, and
Just a
and the
very
dream is
simple question.
a simple question. Ask your dream, ask yourself a question before you go to sleep, write it down, test it tonight because you're primed now,
Yeah.
and and then you can see it for yourself.
Yeah, through this podcast, probably awaken your subconscious so that you can actually realize that dreams mean things, and
Mm.
you can use them. No, I like that a lot. Yeah. So, could you give like a maybe like a 1 or 2 minute guide? So specifically, what somebody should do if they want to access their dreams as a method of self improvement?
Yeah, so dreams will spontaneously help and guide. So dreams are not just responses to yesterday, but more like a new branch grows on the tree. That's not because something happened necessarily in the past. Sure, it needed to get there, but it's growing into something new. So life is far more an creative unfolding than oh, I saw a scary movie yesterday, and that's why I dreamt about the monster. Could be, but most likely not. And for those that want to ask a question, just check in with yourself. What feels important to know right now? Oh, I'm anxious. I want to deal with anxiety, or I want to find a loved one, or I'm a bit bored. I want to be doing something creative. All right. So write down a little bit the general area, and then make it into one simple question, like uh, I want to be more creative. Now, what do you want to express? Deep self. What do you want to express? Or what's one thing I can do to give form to creativity? Yeah, and then you do a little ritual. Maybe you make a drawing, or if you believe in a higher power, you talk to the higher power. If you believe in your brain, then you talk to your brain. Say, "Hey, brain, I need you tonight."
Yeah.
Then go to bed, sleep, pen and paper next to the bed, write it down, and then in the morning just write it down. And if it immediately makes sense, great. If not, just come back to it a couple of hours later, because often with a little bit of fresh perspective, you at once think, oh, if I wanted to be more creative, what in this dream could indicate creativity? And maybe I see, I don't know, a cab driver being doing something, and I think, oh, what if I would do that? Or dreams want to help. They're
Yeah.
they're they're on our side. So it's give yourself, maybe you have a good intuition, share it with a friend, work it, and then you establish a relationship with the deep self, and
Yeah.
you
That's
get
great.
more.
That's great. I love it. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's definitely a hack to the subconscious. Maybe I shouldn't be using the word hack. I don't mean to be offensive, but it's a way to get to it that you otherwise couldn't.
Yeah,
And there's stuff going on during sleep that not going on during the day, and I feel you could definitely overcome things, or write an amazing song or something. Whatever you're
yeah,
whatever you're looking for, or whatever your specialty is, I feel like it could definitely enhance it. So, but hey, thanks again, Machiel. I think
thank
I'm getting better at pronouncing it, but yeah, I highly recommend your book, Dream Guidance. Like I said, I devoured it in just a few days, and I think I'm just getting exposed to dream incubation. But yeah, you definitely inspired me to start trying it, and I feel like it's definitely something that's both useful and fun. because if you can find a way to kind of manipulate your dreams, it makes sleep more interesting and exciting, and it makes daytime more interesting and exciting, and it also will probably surprise you. I assume I'm going to keep trying it. So I'll report back to you. Maybe I can be one of your success stories in your next book or something
Thank you.
like that. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, and thanks everybody for joining us for the Empirical Enlightenment podcast.